Good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're recognizing 7 outstanding leaders whose mentorship, integrity, and wise governance have taken their organizations to the next level. We are here to honor those who have served as board members throughout our state, contributing their time, energy, and expertise so that corporations, governments, and nonprofits alike can benefit from the talents they've employed throughout their careers. The directors being honored today come from public and private companies, nonprofit and not-for-profit, and venture capital boards. During today's program, we're going to have the opportunity to hear from 6 individuals who serve on some of our state's most prestigious boards, providing fiduciary oversight and guiding them toward long-term success. On behalf of NACD Utah and Utah Business, I'd like to thank our sponsors of this year's awards luncheon. First, American Express National Bank, our presenting sponsor. American Express National Bank is American Express's bank subsidiary in the United States. It connects consumers and small business customers with payment, financing, and saving products while ensuring safe and sound banking operations. Thank you, American Express, today for your support. Also, thank you to Digital Bytes Production and Design, Web, Extra Space Storage, Mark Miller Subaru, Regents Blue Cross Blue Shield of Utah, and SkyWest Incorporated. We greatly appreciate all of your support for this event and could not do it without you. Now, a little bit about Utah Business. Utah Business provides award-winning in-depth journalism on the tech and entrepreneurial business at the forefront of our nation's economy. Its print and digital publication reaches executives across states and provides live, deep-dive events on the industries shaping our future. Please welcome the Assistant Editor of Utah Business, McKenna Malin.
Good afternoon. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome you all to NACD Utah and Utah Business's Outstanding Directors Awards. We are thrilled to honor these 7 remarkable individuals. But before we do, I want to offer my sincere thanks to Carol Makita for taking time out of her busy schedule at KSL News to be here with us today. You are so appreciated. And thank you. Thank you to the NACD Utah chapter who provided invaluable collaboration on today's event. Finally, I'd like to also thank our sponsors that allow us the opportunity to recognize these incredible honorees today. We appreciate your support. We are here this afternoon to recognize and honor those who have served as board members throughout our state. And I think it's appropriate that that's how we describe the position, as a service, because these individuals contribute their time, energy, and expertise so that corporations, governments, and nonprofits alike can benefit from the talents they have employed throughout their careers. Like a mentor, these men and women guide their organizations toward success while helping them to avoid the many pitfalls that could ensnare them, in some cases without receiving any kind of recompense in return. For that and for many other services besides, these individuals are truly deserving of our honor and recognition. Thank you for coming today and for celebrating these individuals with us. We hope that as we listen to their stories, a new generation of board members might be waiting in the wings, ready to make their own impact on the companies and organizations that inspire them, continuing the legacy of service that today's outstanding directors exemplify. Thank you and congratulations to you all.
The National Association of Corporate Directors is the recognized authority for leading boardroom practices. With more than 23,000 members, 40 years of governance experience, and a vast portfolio of director resources, NACD strives to empower directors and transform boards to be future ready. I'm pleased to introduce the chair of NACD Utah, Val Ovison. Val has served in executive positions in business and government, including 2 terms as Lieutenant Governor of Utah and 1 term as Utah State Auditor, and in accounting practice with national and regional CPA firms for 46 years. He currently operates a consulting firm providing management, tax, and government relations services. Val has served on many private and nonprofit boards and currently serves on the board of American Express National Bank and NACD Utah. Please welcome Val Ovison.
Thank you very much, Carol, and it's always nice to be with you, and thank you for the contribution you've made to Utah through the years. It's great to be with you all today and to celebrate the Outstanding Director Award that we'll be giving today. I'm delighted to be able to represent the Utah chapter of NACD. NACD is a proud sponsor in recognizing some of our area's most accomplished corporate directors. I think we have an especially strong group of honorees this year, and as Carol mentioned in the introduction, NACD is the U.S.'s leading authority for improving board performance with more than 23,000 members. NACD has been setting the standard for responsible board leadership for more than 40 years, as she mentioned. The Utah chapter is one of 22 chapters across the country. We were first organized in 2003, and some of the original organizers, like Ron Pullman, are here with us today in our audience. Our chapter's mission is to elevate board performance by providing local board members with practical tools through world-class education, leading-edge research, and a growing network of director peers. The job of a board member is to look out for the best interest of the corporation, whether that be public, private, or not-for-profit corporation, and to represent the owners and stakeholders. The job of the board has taken on greater significance as a more important role in recent years. Boards are at the forefront of today's business climate, which places greater emphasis on accountability, whether that be in the creation of sustainability, long-term direction, effective succession planning, shareholder activism, or merger and acquisitions. In addition to the board's traditional responsibilities, boards today are being held accountable for many environmental, social, and governance issues that they heretofore had not spent much time with. Although boards make leadership decisions based on what is in the collective best interest of the corporation, the lifeblood of board excellence is the individual board member. The individual director's personal integrity, capabilities, intellectual curiosity, emotional intelligence, and the ability to contribute in a constructive and collaborative way is what makes good boards great boards. In today's business environment, ideal directors are savvy, smart, and experienced. They are the top-tier leaders who understand the critical role they play and are willing to make tough decisions. I'd like to take a moment to recognize the members of our NACD Utah chapter board who are here with us today. They are strong business leaders who have all the qualities of excellent directors. Please stand, if you will, when I read your names. Deborah Bale, Colleen Bell, Diane George, Robert Gross, Spencer Houle, David Jolly, Ron Judd, Peggy Larson, James Livingston, Mark Lucas, Craig Omer, Ron Pullman, Becky Potts, Innocent Sumba, Rico Summers, and a big thanks to our partner, Utah Business, as well as other sponsors of the event here today. We appreciate all that you're doing and all that you've done to make this event happen and to improve board leadership. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Becky Potts, who is the chair of our awards committee at NACD for this event, and Utah Business's Lynette Cloward, and also NACD's Executive Director, Heather May, for all the hard work that they've done in today's luncheon preparation and making this event work. As I said at the beginning, let's give those folks a hand. As I said at the beginning, we have an amazing group of honorees this year. They represent the highest ideals in business and in board performance. They have all worked hard to enrich their businesses, the boards they present, and our community. Our 2002 outstanding directors are Ken M. Wooley at Extra Space Storage, Russell Chip Child, SkyWest Incorporated, Marcia Garcia, American Express National Bank, Mark and Katie Miller, the Mark and Katie Miller Foundation, Blake Mordekowski, Pelion Venture Partners, and Jake Nichols, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Utah. And I'd like to now invite Deborah Bale, the past chair of our NACD board chapter, to join me on the stage to help me make the awards presentations. Thank you very much, and thank you all for being here.
Now we're pleased to move to the recognition part of today's program, where we will learn a little more about each of our honorees. Our first honoree that we would like to recognize this afternoon is our honoree in the Venture Capital category. If you would please turn your attention to the video screens.
The things in my life that have prepared me for corporate directorship, frankly, it's growing up on a farm in Idaho, where we had to be nimble enough to do things that were hard, difficult, and amazing. And so when I translate that into the boardroom and I listen to these companies, and one day it's up and to the right, they're on a rocket ship, the next day something's happened. The global financial market melts down, the economy is roaring, and then it's not roaring. All of those sorts of things cause these companies to do interesting things. Being a farmer, same thing. You can't control the weather, you can't control the economy. The only thing you can control, what goes on with your company, and these entrepreneurs do an amazing job. Companies that I sit on their boards, they're early stage that are growing to this first cycle of being a public company. And that's a really interesting journey when you go from private to public, and now all of a sudden the scrutiny of the public markets are looking at you. You're like, okay, this just got real in a hurry, but it's a lot of fun as well. The most rewarding thing about the work I do is, honestly, it's the interaction with some amazing people. Like, I get to interact with entrepreneurs that are making a dent in the world, and that's a lot of fun because the journey is wild, crazy, amazing, tough, terrible, and wonderful at the end of the day.
Now, please give a warm welcome to General Partner at Pelion Venture Partners, Chris Cooper.
Thank you. It is my great honor to introduce my lifelong friend and colleague, Blake Motor something something, for this richly deserved recognition. Blake and I go so far back that I can actually picture him with a mullet and a members-only jacket, which he pulled off with uncommon grace. He's an Idaho, by the way, Blake has a great sense of humor. He loves to laugh. He's an Idaho farm boy, as he mentioned in the video, and he loves to use metaphors like moving pipe, picking rock, and digging ditches. He doesn't come in from the field until the work is done. And believe me when I tell you, his partners stopped trying to outwork him a very long time ago. So I've watched Blake from the very early days of his professional life, the successes, the failures, the promotions, the setbacks, the spectacular highs, and the unavoidable lows of our business. Blake has a lot of superpowers as an investor, but I think that his greatest hallmark and the thing that he works the hardest at is his role as a board member. He's literally the hardest working board member I've ever encountered. Early stage company building can be a messy, complicated, very nonlinear business. Blake will make sure that you understand that the heroes are the founders and the leadership teams, not the investors. And this is absolutely true. But he is compassionate, he's empathetic, he is a CEO's biggest cheerleader, and is well known for his work ethic and his willingness to roll up his sleeves and do real work. He has the confidence and the trust of his fellow board members, and I can tell you that he is my and my partner's first call when we need a steady, experienced hand. Here are just a few things that I thought you should know about Blake. He's been in the venture business for 25 years. He's been involved in the investment over 160 companies since 1997. He's been on the board of companies that have gone public on the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, the London Stock Exchange, and the Tokyo Stock Exchange. He's been involved with over 10 public offerings and over 60 M&A transactions. He is the driving force behind Pelion growing from a $50 million AUM to about a $1.7 billion AUM. He's invested into and sat on advisory boards for 17 different venture capital firms as a limited partner. Blake is all of these things. He's the best that venture capital has to offer, but most importantly, he's a really great human. Congratulations, Blake.
All right, everything Chris just said is a lie. So he and I have been business partners since the early 90s. And first of all, thank you. What I'll tell you is the journey that I've been through is a direct result of an unbelievable team at Pelion that I have the great opportunity to work with, an amazing wife that has been there to support the entire journey. There were times when I'd call her on the phone and I'd say, honey, I got to polish up my resume. I think we're unemployed. And she'd give me the pep talk and we'd go back to work. But, you know, being on the board of directors, I used to think, you know, I get to leverage my finance degree. And I had a CEO call me on the phone one day and he said to me, don't talk, just listen. 30 minutes later, after he had just thrown up on the phone with all of his frustrations, he said, I feel better, thank you. And that's what it means to be on the board of directors of a company. So thank you, everybody. It's a wonderful opportunity, and enjoy the rest of the meal and the rest of the afternoon.
Early on in my career, being on a board was, it was going to meetings and having them tell you what they wanted you to hear. And I think that's changed over the years. Now I think boards are much more dynamic. I think the people that are willing to spend their time on boards are way more involved. One of the things we used when I was on board at Roland Hall was they said the 3 W's, work, wisdom, and wealth. And finding a board member that can contribute financially, that has great experience, but then is willing to roll their sleeves up and be part of making a difference in what that organization is doing. I think it's really changing the way things are done.
We have enjoyed working together since we started our foundation, which I can't remember how many years ago that was, because we both have the same goals of trying to change this community and really education, scholarships, and trying to make a difference. Some of these kids need help so desperately and they can't get it at home due to lack of language, parents who are working 3 jobs, And it's really gratifying to see them change.
Well, and I think it's fun to have our family involved in it. You know, Kathy and I built this. When we're gone, our kids are being trained to be able to do what we do, and they have the same set of values and interests that we do, and so it's really fun to be part of that.
I think almost everything we do because we gain something that's personal from helping others.
Please welcome to the stage from United Way, CEO Bill Krim.
I'm really excited to get to do this. I appreciate this opportunity. But my brief time introducing Mark and Kathy will be entirely inadequate to convey the true impact of their board service to us and their board service to all the many organizations that they have been and are involved with. But their service to United Way began, I think, close to 50 years ago. And I'm going to focus on just a few key highlights that exemplify what Mark and Kathy bring to board leadership. And note that in our case, it is entirely voluntary. The first thing is that Mark and Kathy bring commitment, as evidenced by what has to be a world record in terms of combined board service. Mark and Kathy have led or served on nearly every committee we have. We say when we find folks like Mark and Kathy that they have yes in their hearts. They're willing to do whatever it takes. They will roll up their sleeves and help us in all the ways of board governance that you would think of. And in our case, they'll dive into the difficult choice of deciding where philanthropic dollars go, or they will decide, or they will lead out on big new initiatives like our Changing the Odds campaign in 2011, 2012, the formation of a new partnership called the Promise Partnership. Pretty much any big idea that comes along and is debated, discussed by our board, has Mark and Kathy sort of there cheering it on or supporting it. Mark and Kathy bring great courage and vision to our organization. They have been the drivers, among others, of our transformation from a traditional United Way that raises and distributes money to a nationally recognized organization and infrastructure for solving social problems and building economic opportunity for all. And not only did they help us get on this path when we started about 20 years ago down this road, but they were first to make a transformational investment in a new kind of partnership with schools called community school partnerships. And to this day, you can see their passion for changing the lives of children and changing the way our school system serves those children. They continue to exhibit this tremendous courage as we think about our organization headed into the next decade and beyond. Mark and Kathy bring deeply felt passion for the community and the people that we serve. And the stories I could tell you in this regard could go on for a long time. I'm just going to mention a couple. The first is, and most recently I think, is Kathy's service on the Deborah Bale Scholarship Committee, which is part of our organization that helps kids who have been supported through our community school infrastructure get to that next step of college. And invariably, this is hard work. It exposes the volunteers on that committee to really tough traumas that kids experience and to the inspiring lives of those kids and their own courage. And invariably, Kathy and then Mark will add to the scholarship pool. Right? So they're not only doing the work, but they'll show up for just one more or just two more or just that next scholarship. Mark and Kathy are also leading in this nationally recognized effort I mentioned called the Promise Partnership. Kathy is working to transform our state's early childhood education system, and Mark is championing the transformation of our education system, K-12 more broadly, with a focus on math. Their goal, as ours is to make sure that every child in our community and in our state has the opportunity to reach their full potential. In this effort, Mark and Kathy personally volunteer to tutor and mentor third graders in math multiple times a week. They rally everybody they know in their orbit, from employees in the Mark Miller dealerships to their family members to pretty much anybody. You might get recruited before you leave here today to be part of this effort. And it is not just helping individual students, it is transforming our education system. I could go on, but I'll just wrap up by saying thank you to Mark and Kathy on behalf of United Way of Salt Lake and all of the organizations that have benefited from your courage, your leadership, your vision, your passion, your generosity. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to welcome you to the stage.
I'm going to start. First of all, I want to thank everyone for this opportunity, for Mark and I, and a special thanks to Deborah Bale over here and Bill Krim. They have mentored Mark and I, educated us, and supported us for more years than we can even tell you. And we are deeply grateful. Through our foundation, rather it is that foundation and giving money, through volunteering, through our push with education, through the boards we sit on, and through the causes that we help, we really only have one goal, and that is changing the odds for kids and making this community better. Thanks.
So at the United Way meeting, gosh, probably 8 or 10 years ago, I raised my hand at the wrong time and became the champion of 8th grade math. One of the requirements was you needed to know absolutely nothing about 8th grade math, so I qualified perfectly. I found myself working in 8th grade math classes and finding that our education system is so broken that we all need to get more involved in what's going on. 37% of Utah children in 8th grade are at grade level, 37%. If you're an English as a second language learner student, it's less than 7%. So our program started in 8th grade. We spent 2 years with part of our Subaru team in an 8th grade math class trying to help these kids using what's now called competency-based personalized learning, a computer program that tested the kids, figured out where they were, and then helped them get better instead of just teaching them most subjects that were way above their foundation. We found that 8th grade, when you see an 8th grader and you say how much is 2 times 7 and they count on their fingers, that's a problem. So we decided we'd move to 3rd grade. So now we've been working with 3rd graders, and we'll probably move to kindergarten. So our model is that we use this competency-based program software called iReady. We do Zoom with volunteers, and 4 days a week for 45 minutes, or you can volunteer for 2 days a week. You're in the classroom with a student helping them get better at math. So Bill's right, you're all recruited. And unitedway.org, if you'll go to that website this fall, it's a wonderful opportunity, and we'd love to have you on our team. Thank you so much for this wonderful award.
Working for a board of directors helped me to understand the power and the contributions that a great board can make. However, I will admit that in the early part of my career, working for a board of directors, I often gave them the old Heisman stiff arm and tried to keep them from getting too involved in my business. I wish I would have learned a bit earlier how to utilize my board a bit more effectively. I think that the one characteristic that all the boards that I serve on that is universal is that they all encourage challenging and rigorous debate. And in order to solve these vexing problems, I think that it's important that we have conversation in all of these boards. The most groundbreaking thing that I have learned after almost 50 years of business experience is that there's still so much to learn. It's so exciting for me to attend board meetings and hear perspectives of really smart, curious people. I serve on the Cambia Health Solutions Board of Directors, and I didn't have a lot of experience in the healthcare industry, but it's been so interesting for me to be able to learn about the healthcare industry and yet bring in some ideas from a very unrelated industry of the tool business which I grew up in. It's interesting to see how this industry affects every person alive, and what we need to do to improve it is our challenge.
Please welcome to the stage Miguel Rivera, Director of Community and Business Relations with Regents Blue Cross Blue Shield of Utah.
Good afternoon. Today, it is my sincere pleasure to introduce Jake Nichols. I'll start with a story about an unfortunate series of events that happened to Jake this past May. He's an avid fisherman, so he planned 7 glorious days of fly fishing off the coast of Mexico. So after one day of fishing, a Category 2 hurricane named Agatha hit the area, and the rest of the trip was quickly canceled. So his next challenge is getting out of Mexico. So he drives 5 perilous hours in flooded gravel roads all the way to the Cancun airport. One more challenge. He gets to the airport and he tests positive for COVID. At this point, I would have thrown in the towel. So he spends the next 4 days in quarantine. And when I talked to Jake about this and his experience, and this is a perfect example of his positive attitude, he said, you know, it was an interesting trip. So that positive attitude is only one of many reasons why he is being recognized with an Outstanding Director Award today. As an accomplished business executive, he brings a depth of business expertise to our board of directors, and we highly value his insightful guidance. In addition to our board, he also serves on other boards, 5 as a matter of fact, and he helped us navigate the difficult time due to the pandemic. My thanks to Utah Business for recognizing Jake's significant and impactful contributions to board service. Congratulations, Jake Nichols. And to all of this year's honorees, Jake, would you please join us up here on the stage?
Great. Well, thank you, Miguel. Appreciate you being very judicious about the facts you shared with that Mexico trip. Could have gone much worse, so thanks for being careful. But I'm so grateful to be with you today, and grateful for this wonderful recognition. It is humbling for me to look at the other honorees that are representing this great state of Utah. I'm a very proud Utah native, grew up here, went to Granite High School, and then left for 45 years and then came back because I recognized the spectacular things are going on. But it is so amazing to see the great work that's being done by so many of you to progress this great state. Again, very humbled to be a part of that amazing group of men and women. As I mentioned in the video, I've enjoyed the opportunity after, like many of you, leading companies for many years, now being on a board of directors. And it's interesting how the context of changing roles makes you a little more, I guess, a little more interested in that service, where before I was rejecting my board's help. But you become a bit more understanding of the value that can occur. And so grateful to have the opportunity to serve on boards. I'm particularly grateful to serve on Regents Blue Cross Blue Shield's board. I didn't have a lot of experience in healthcare, but what a great place where everybody in our society needs help. And our company recognizes that, and I give a lot of credit to our terrific board members for really being enthusiastic about finding solutions to this vexing problem of healthcare. It has been a great pleasure for me to serve on the boards I've served on. I'm particularly grateful to be serving with the great men and women of Regents Blue Cross Blue Shield. You go to board meetings every time, and there are always amazing things that you learn from these extraordinarily bright, extraordinarily risk-taking people. But again, thank you for this wonderful honor. Appreciate the recognition from NACD and Utah Business Magazine, and it's great to be back amongst you in this great state of Utah. Thanks very much.
I came to NeighborWorks Salt Lake working from juvenile court system to help create a youth gang prevention program in 1986, quite some time ago. What I enjoy most about being a director is the diversity and expertise that sits at the table and the conversations that occur and what we learn from each other. The most rewarding thing about the work that I do with NeighborWorks Salt Lake is the ability to work with families and connect them with resources that help enhance their quality of life. In my professional life, I think what prepared me for corporate directorship is working with the court system as a probation officer. The level of accountability to the various stakeholders certainly prepares you for corporate directorship. If I were able to sit on any board, it would probably be a tech company. And why I would want to do that is because I think the more senior individuals in the community need to learn more about technology, and I think I could connect tech companies to my age group. I think what I would like people to know about my work as a board director is my commitment to the company and the ability to learn and to interact with management and my colleagues.
Please give a warm welcome to Rick Petrino, Chief Operating Officer with American Express National Bank.
A tech company, Maria. We're American Express National Bank. We're the most tech-savvy bank in the industry. Well, hey, just thrilled to be here today, along with my colleagues from AENB, Utah Business and NACD Utah for putting on this great and important event. And congratulations to all the honorees, and thank you to all the honorees for the great work you're doing across such a diverse set of boards that we're hearing about today. It really is amazing. Obviously, we're most thrilled to be here today to help honor Maria Garcias, who I'm certainly proud to sit on the board of AENB with. Maria is a Salt Lake native through and through. She was raised here. She raised her family here. She's dedicated her career to building a strong and more diverse Utah. You know, given that, I assume many of you know Maria from the area and are familiar with the amazing work she's been doing for many years. And considering that, I did want to spend a few minutes talking about maybe some things you don't know as well about Maria. So Maria, I don't know if you knew this, loves to ride her Harley Davidson, which I learned recently. So if you're driving down South Street and a woman cruises by you, hair blowing in the wind, there's a good chance that was Maria. Maria also loves music and letting loose with family and friends at concerts. So if you happened to be at the Santana concert last night, I know some of you were, and you saw a pack of 20 or so folks really having a good time, there's a good chance that was Maria as well. All right, here's one. Maria started her career as a probation officer in juvenile court. So if you happen to get into some trouble when you were a youth and you had a really caring and helpful probation officer, that might also have been Maria. Not a typical resume for a board member of a highly regulated bank, but so interestingly, I think it was that first occupation, Maria, that eventually led you to NeighborWorks. As a volunteer for their youth program, you worked your way up from community organizer to CEO. Maria's been CEO of NeighborWorks since 1990. Under her leadership, NeighborWorks has had an incredible impact on the lives of Salt Lake City residents, developing hundreds of single-family homes, multifamily units, and employing thousands of high-risk youths as community builders. Within Utah, Maria is fondly referred to as the Queen of the West Side. This is because she consistently advocated for underrepresented communities, ensuring everyone's voices are represented and heard across public and private sectors. Maria's passion for Utah and her experience throughout the community development space are the very reasons she was tapped to be a member of our bank board. That was nearly 3 decades ago. And while at American Express our bank structures and organization has changed many times, Maria has been a real constant for us. Today she remains an admired member of our board and a true asset to the entire company. As a board member, she provides incredible insight and expertise across a number of banking and community-related topics. But her impact goes far beyond that. She is truly part of the team. Maria is our only board member who regularly participates in internal meetings at the company related to our CRA program. And in these meetings, she rolls up her sleeves and works with colleagues from across our company at all levels of experience and provides advice and ideas and coaching. And these are the kinds of experiences that she gives to our people that they can't match in other places. So again, she's really just part of the team, and I think that sets her apart. At Amex, we've long believed that we have a responsibility to contribute to the welfare of our communities that we work and live in. Maria is somebody who has lived her entire life by that very principle, and through her leadership, Amex has not only become stronger, but has been able to enrich the lives of many. So thank you, Maria, for all you've done for Amex and for our communities, and thank you to Utah Business and NACD Utah for recognizing the far-reaching influence that Maria has had on this community.
Can you all see me? Because I tend to be a little shorter. Sometimes people tell me to stand up. Thank you, Rick, for those very thoughtful comments, and to my fellow honorees, it's a privilege to share today with you. When Bale called me saying I was selected as this year's recipient in the private sector category, he was met with absolute silence on my end of the phone. I recovered quickly and asked him, why me? For those of you who know Val, he's very passionate in his opinions. However, that didn't convince me, and he offered to give me a few days to think about it. As I reflected on this recognition and the many boards I participated in over 4 decades, and what started me on this path, it reminded me of my first meeting with a bank president in 1990. We visited over lunch, and we discussed the need for the bank to improve in the community reinvestment area, and he felt that my expertise as an independent director could help with that. I had 2 questions for him. First, how much did I need to pay to be on this board? Because it certainly sounded like not only would I be teaching the bank about community reinvestment, but I would be learning a great deal about risk, operations, finance, fun stuff. And second question, did they do a background check? I was most worried about this area. I am a bit of a speed demon. with my Harley Davidson and Mazda RX-8, and sometimes speeding tickets, they get in the way. He responded to my questions, we parted ways, and agreed to meet in a few weeks. Our second lunch meeting, he sat before me with a file about 2 inches thick. He looked anxious and very uncomfortable, kind of like how you're looking right now, Michael. The name Maria Garcia is as common as the name John Smith. 50% of the John Smiths are on the right side of the law, 50% questionable. I am fortunate to have a Z on the end of my last name. Often the Z is dropped off my name because people assume it's an error. I knew exactly what questions he was pondering in his mind. How am I going to talk to Maria about these felonies in her background check? What about the current outstanding warrant? How is this woman managing millions of dollars in her organization? Her board of directors must be crazy. I will admit to you that I did let him stew for a few minutes before I asked him how he spelled my last name. I then handed him a document with my name spelled correctly, reflecting I was on the right side of the law. He was relieved. It was this encounter and opportunity that initiated my path as a director in the private sector. It is NACD that has educated me on how to best serve in this capacity. I share this very private story with you because it reflects highly on American Express and their Utah bank, who extended this invitation to me. At that time, I was 30 years old with my hair probably 2 or 3 times greater than it is now, young for a director in the private sector. Their willingness to seek expertise that would help them navigate community reinvestment and make them a better company has had phenomenal impact in Utah and surrounding states. Their exceptional customer service, transparency to colleagues, and commitment to community fills me with pride, so thank you for that. I am grateful and humbled to accept this award and do so to honor and acknowledge the boards I am privileged to serve on. So thank you, NACD, Utah Business Magazine, and my colleagues from American Express, many who flew from the East and the West Coast. Thank you, everyone.
Probably the things that prepared me for the responsibility of corporate directorship in my life, both professionally and personally, was probably a lot of the early jobs that I had in my life that were very heavy manual labor jobs that you had to really focus on staying committed and staying engaged. I was a truck driver, I was a cook, I worked concrete and asphalt. Probably the hardest jobs that I had were ones that prepared me the most, mostly because it gave me perspective and connectivity to whatever board you're serving on. There's a lot of dynamics of the people, employees involved, and I think being able to relate to that dynamic is very, very important and was by far the thing that prepared me most. So I think over time, boards have changed both in how they are dynamic and what their role is. Thank goodness we have a lot more diversity on boards today, but also I think that the responsibility of boards has been expanded more than just earnings per share or return on investments. There's been a social aspect of making sure that we're taking care of the things in our society that we're supposed to, relative to the importance of what corporations do throughout the world. So I'm happy with the movement and how the boards have evolved and are continuing to change, and look forward to what happens in the future. I do have a very strong affinity toward the environmental impact of some of the things that we're doing, particularly as an airline. I've taken a lot of interest in the science of decarbonization and the elements that's going to make our planet sustainable, particularly with respect to air travel. So honestly, any board that would be focused on those types of things, within our world, I'd be very, very interested in serving on, mostly because of how it affects our company, but also how it affects future generations as well.
Please welcome to the stage Becky Potts. She's Vice President and Regional Executive with the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco. Becky.
Well, hello, everyone, and it's such an honor for me to recognize my friend Chip. He is amazing. But Russell Chip Childs is president and CEO of SkyWest, Inc., and is chairman of DOT's Next Generation Advisory Committee. I know him best through his role as director and our past chairman on the Salt Lake City Branch Board of Directors for the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco. Chip has a long list of accomplishments and distinguished awards, and associated as a member of various boards and as the SkyWest CEO. But I'd really like to talk about Chip as a human and a leader first. I've known Chip for 3 years. He is everything we wish for that all board members were. He's engaged and attentive. He takes his position seriously, and he thinks outside the box. He's respectful of precedent, but he's more than willing to rethink parameters and offer innovative solutions. Chip is a great ambassador for the Fed and participates fully in the communities in which we serve. He supports us at the San Francisco Fed to be the premier public service organization, and he also contributes his knowledge and expertise to help the Fed and our mission to promote a healthy, inclusive, and sustainable economy, and to support the nation's financial and payment systems. I know Chip to offer candid and insight, and to serve as a thoughtful sounding board. And since he's also a CEO, he knows what it means to have a board of directors. He treats others in the way he'd like to be treated. Chip is unassuming, and he's always first to thank those who work behind the scenes. And he is most proud of his beautiful family, his wife Jennifer, their 3 sons and daughter. In terms of Chip's distinguished list of selected accomplishments under his capable leadership, SkyWest was named a Glassdoor Best Places to Work Employees' Choice Award for 2020, one of Fortune's Most Admired Companies in 2019, one of the best companies to work for in 2015, and the Regional Airline of the Year by Airport Transport World for the 3rd time in 2014. As CEO, Chip has guided SkyWest through some of the industry's most challenging times, while maintaining a focus on long-term stability and success for his company and his thousands of employees. His commitment to SkyWest people and his value-based, innovative approach continues to successfully create opportunity and provide value for SkyWest stakeholders. I'd like to sum up my introduction with this. Chip is a trailblazer. He leads with contagious energy and skillfully builds a path for those to follow. It is my pleasure to introduce Chip Childs as an outstanding director honoree. Unfortunately, Chip can't attend today, but he would like to say thank you for this amazing award, and we'd like to turn our time to the video because he's going to say a few words.
Thank you, Utah Business and NACD Utah, for this award. I'm sorry I can't be there in person with the incredible group of people who make up the 2022 honorees, but I'm truly humbled to be named among them. I'm really on this list because I get to work with some of the most outstanding organizations in the state of Utah and across the nation. As the award states, the most important thing each of us can do is to create lasting innovation and growth for future generations. I deeply feel that responsibility, and if I do anything to advance that objective, I'll be very satisfied. Thank you again for this remarkable honor.
All of my life, I've started more than 20 companies. And in that process of being an entrepreneur, I had the chance to serve on many boards and to also work on corporate strategy. And my work as an entrepreneur has helped me prepare for being a director of much larger companies today. The role of boards has really changed because there's a tremendous amount of emphasis today on what we call stakeholders. The stakeholders used to just be the shareholders and how much profit we would make. Now the stakeholders are environmental groups, our employees, our customers, and how they feel about our company. And these stakeholders influence in a much greater way today how the company acts and what it does, and the boards need to be aware of this. In the current environment, we have something called ESG, and companies have an ESG score. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. And there's so much more focus on the environmental issues and our social issues and how we interface with the community, and also just the governance issues of the company, and making sure that the shareholders are really represented well by the directors and it's not controlled too much from the inside.
Please give a warm welcome now to the CEO of Extra Space Storage, Joe Margolis.
Good afternoon. I'm honored and pleased to be here today to introduce Ken Wooley. I was fortunate enough to serve on Extra Space's board with Ken starting in February of 2005. I was a new director then. I didn't know what it meant to be a director on a public board, but I learned an incredible amount how to be an effective and good director from listening to Ken, observing him, and asking him questions. And what I saw was not only the hard skills required for success, long-term strategic thinking, great financial acumen, balance sheet, strategy and management, the ability to understand complicated situations, risks, and opportunities quickly, but also the soft skills, how to develop an effective board where directors feel free to speak their mind, disagree, argue, and disagree without being disagreeable, and make quick and proper decisions. Ken did and does a great job of influencing our company's direction and culture without overstepping a director's bounds and seeking to run the company. An example of this I can remember from very early days is Ken telling management to always take the high road. And he did this through the way of a story about riding horses on the mountain ridge and not in the valleys. I was in New York at the time and had no idea what he was talking about. But what he was trying to tell the management and the behavior he was advocating was that in dealing with third parties, Extra Space should always be fair and honest and trustworthy and transparent. The company should seek win-win situations and focus on long-term relationships. The company adopted Ken's vision, and I think it's one reason for our great success. Another example of Ken's insistence that management make Extra Space a great place to work. This meant not only fair pay and benefits, but respecting everyone's work-life balance, and importantly, treating every employee, regardless of their role, their age, their gender, their race, or any other characteristic, fairly, as equals who deserve respect, compassion, and care. Ken, you were advocating ESG before ISS or the SEC told you to do so. This great care and concern for others is exemplified in something I saw in Ken and Athelia's home in Camas. In their home, there's a small framed saying, and I think it's from a Broadway play. It says, "To love another person is to see the face of God." Ken, I think you've done that. I'm happy to introduce Ken Wooley.
It's good to be here. And thank you for Utah Business Magazine and the NACD for honoring me today. It's a bit humbling to be with all of you other honorees It's a pretty impressive group, and I'm glad to be here. What Joe said isn't all true. Some of it's true, but I just have to say one thing about business and about my life, and that is I found business to be really fun, and I've found being on a board of directors to be interesting and fun and challenging. And I was thinking about Blake here, our first honoree, who had been on the boards of I don't know how many companies and invested in 100 and something companies, and I thought, wow, he's really had a lot of fun in his life. And I've had a lot of fun too, and I hope to continue it. I think that if we approach our lives and our business work to enjoy what we do and to enjoy building up other people and building an organization, we'll have a lot of fun, and in the same way, we'll build our Utah economy. We'll help people have families where they have a means to support their families. My wife and I were talking a day or two ago about motivation, and I think my own motivation has kind of gone from sort of being profit motivated to thinking more about, well, how many people is our company affecting in their lives? How many employees do we have? How many heads of households or others are we helping to support their families? And that's what we're all here to do. We're to support each other. I was so impressed with what I heard about Maria's work in the criminal justice system and about the Miller's work in their efforts in helping education. We all need to be involved in this, and I just have to say, I'm very happy to be amongst the honorees and to be honored today. Thank you.
Our gratitude to each one of the honorees for what you have done and continue to do to make this wonderful state where we all live a better place. As a reminder, parking is paid for. If you should have received a voucher when you came in. If you have not done so, please get one from the registration desk before you leave. The videos of our honorees, along with the entire event, will be posted to the Utah Business website shortly. You're all welcome to share these with family, friends, and coworkers. We'd also like to gather name tags to recycle them, so either leave them on your table or give them to one of the individuals at the registration table. That concludes our event for today. Thank you for coming. Congratulations to the 2022 Outstanding Directors.